Hey, welcome to the Legends of Inside Sports, and I think that would be a good title for this show this morning. Mercy, Mercy Me, by my homeboy, the great Marvin Gaye. We're going we're gonna be talking to a special guest. He's not a special guest, but he's always here with me, my partner in crime. But what I want to do first, I want you to listen to Minister Louis Farrahkan as he addressed the National Association of Black Journalists in 2011. And boy, he reads these brothers and sisters the riot act. Man, he looking so quiet in there that you can hear a mouse actually piss on cotton. So hold on to your seatbelts for a minute.
Ignorance, stupidity, garbage in the name of news, in the name of media, in the name of television, in the name of entertainment. And as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And whatever a man eats, that's what that man is. And if you feed your public filth and ignorance and degeneracy, then what should you expect from them when you have the right and the privilege to feed the human mind? Then to feed the human mind lies mixed with truth, skewing the truth, hiding the truth, manipulating the truth for this one's benefit and to that one's degradation is not my idea of protecting democracy and the fundamentals of a democracy. You say, wait a minute, Farrahkan, I didn't come here to have you lecture us on our business. I didn't come to lecture you on nothing else but your business. And since you invited me, I think I have a right to talk to journalists about what you are supposed to be doing. You are National Association of Black Journalists that work for white institutions. And white folk did not hire you to really represent what black people are really thinking. And you don't really tell them what you think because you are too afraid of the little cheap gig that you have. And this does not protect democracy. And it does not represent the black community. We are the suffering ones that put you where you are. So why shouldn't you stand up and represent the best of what we are? You didn't get there because you were so skilled. Some Negroes got to throwing some Molotov cocktails one day. And white folk didn't want to come uptown and they had to raid the black press to find some black person who would do the job. They pulled you away from the black press and they brought you into the mainstream media. And you became happy to be mainstream. This is not the River Jordan. This is a corrupt stream. And now we got to purify it to protect the nation that you say you love and the people from whom you came that demand better from you. You don't know me.
Well, that was Minister Louis Farrahkan addressing the National Association of Black Journalists in 2011. Please go and pull that up for yourselves and listen to the whole speech that he's giving these folks. And I know folks, some of you saying, man, you're so hard on black media. Man, these folks in black media are killing us softly. When I get on the James Browns and the Rock Newmans and the David Aldrich, and I found out that, there's an old saying about keeping your enemies close, but keep your friends closer. Hey, that is what's happening. I thought some people were my friends, but I really knew where they were coming from because how they were reacting to some of the things that I was saying. The truth. They can't deal with the truth. So today here on the Legends of Inside Sports and the Way We Were, I'm going to be talking to my main man out in Indianapolis. He's a talk show host. He's an author. He's a minister. He works with youth gangs and young people at risk. He works across the board. He does it all. And I'm so happy when we can get together and talk for 30 minutes or so about what's going on in our community. We need more than 30 minutes. But without further ado, I would like to welcome to the Legends of Inside Sports my co-host, Mr. Mike Ramey. How you doing, Mike?
Doing fine, Coach. How's everything out there on the coast this morning?
Everything is fine, man. Glad to see another morning. You had an opportunity, and you and I had the last couple of days been talking about this group that they got meeting in downtown Washington called Journalists Dash Isms, and these are folks that are meeting with the Google people or the Facebook people talking about black issues, and they've been meeting together for 20 years. And I talk to people like yourselves who have been around in media for decades, never heard of the group. And I never heard of the group, but they're talking and meeting, talking about black issues, man. And then when I see people like Cortland Malloy and Jackie Jones are part of this group, man, these are spooks that sit by the door. That's what they are. They are sitting by the door and discussing issues and talking about us, and we don't even know about it. So that is what blew my mind. Cause I said I don't want to jump out here, man. Like maybe I missed something along the way. I said, but let me check with some of my people who've been in media as long as I have, and really, folks who've been in the war zone and have never heard of this group. Matt and Mike, I send that link to you for you to take a look at. Tell me what you think. What's going on?
Well, you got to remember, though, Coach, that not every white man is your enemy, and not every black man is your but you also have to remember, like you said, if you're close and your enemy's close.
Yeah.
And it's no shock that you've got so-called meetings going on behind closed doors with black folks in media simply because of the fact that white folk ain't going to come to our neighborhoods to talk to us, so they'll bring in one or two to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that when rap and hip-hop were exclusively our property, it came up, rap and hip-hop were created in 1974 in New York, and then within, basically, when MTV came around in the early 1980s, they didn't want to play any black artists. So black artists basically said, hey, we'll just keep on doing our thing, and you do your thing. Well, what happened? Because black folk have a lot of money. We keep talking about we poor, but we don't bother to even read the statistics. We have enough wealth that is on par with like the 7th or 8th largest country's GNP or GDP on this planet. But the media message is that we poor and we minority, and we, like Tony Brown said, we're successful. The problem is we ask people how to be successful when we refuse to just go ahead and be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So our media, like you said, uh, they don't know how to say thank you to the people who come before. They don't know how to go help the brothers and sisters who came before. They assume that once they leave the mainstream press, they can go out and do the same thing that Oprah does, but they forget that Oprah is sold out. They forget that her girlfriend, Gail, what's her name, that works for CBS, supports the agenda, the sodomite agenda. That's why she's working there. We need to take a page from the Hispanics and Latinos. We need to build our own media infrastructure, and if white folk want to get in, they need to pay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, I was just looking at this journalism.com. There's a guy by the name of Richard Prince that I guess who is the head NICH or whatever. But it's funny, man, that they're meeting that in an office that is controlled by Facebook or Google or whoever it is, and we still, this goes back that we don't have any no we don't have anything that controls our image. They control our image, man. Regardless, we don't own no radio or TV stations. We don't own any of these networks, man. So we're still here. We are 50 years, 60 years later after Martin Luther King, still talking about we shall overcome. How are we going to overcome when we got folks like this that are meeting behind closed doors? Not many people that I know, and I know some lot of people in media have never heard of them. So what? Why are they so secretive? Why are they so clandestine? It really blows my mind, man, when I see the things that are going on in our community right now. And of course, we got a lot on the table, Mike, with the young man on Empire. Where are we with that situation, Mike?
Well, since that happened pretty close to where I live at, it's up in Chicago. He's already had his initial appearance. He's bailed out. He's on $100,000 bond ticket, which means he put down $10,000 to get out of jail.
I tell you, man, that really I'm really confused about his actions. If he really did this, all points, everything points to him, man, as setting this whole thing up, and he's still pleading not guilty, man. I think that it's definitely a double standard. There's still justice and just us. I remember, and somebody brought it to my attention that the young man who was in the Olympic Games, I think he was a swimmer in Brazil, claimed that he was robbed and beaten up and thrown out to dry by some hoodlums and thugs, and it never happened. And it was just swept under the rug and forgotten. But we have to understand that there is a double standard in America when it comes to people of color. And why is it that we don't understand that in 2019? I never thought my freshman year at Winston-Salem, 1960, when those four young men, 30 miles away in Greensboro, North Carolina, decided to do the lunch counter set-ins. That baton was thrown up to Winston-Salem, and there I was out there involved in that boycott against my coach's wishes, because Big House Gaines told all of us, he warned us. He said, "I catch any of you Negroes down there boycotting, I'm sending you on the first bus ticket back to the ghetto." But there were four of us athletes that Luton Wiley from Lynchburg, North Carolina, outstanding guard on the basketball team. Bonnie Hood from Chicago, jump shooting wizard, and of course my dear friend Big Al Mayo. We decided to go down there anyway. And here this is, we're talking about 1960, and we're heading into 1920, man, and we still fighting for our rights, talking about we shall overcome. Something is wrong with this picture, Mike.
Well, what's wrong with the picture, Coach, is the fact that folks are so blind because of that little device that they hold in their hand, that handheld computer, that iPhone. They figured that as long as they got that iPhone, everything gonna be okay. But that iPhone, it ain't your friend. You know, we think that media is our friend, and it's not. Media's got the same problems, if not more problems now than back in the day, back in the 60s. Like, for example, there are fewer black editors, black reporters, black anchors on the nation's TV stations
that's right.
now than there were 40 years ago. The numbers have gone down. But what do we see on the nightly news? It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. You know, that's what you see. And young folk don't understand that at the end of the day, no matter how friendly you are, no matter how much you do, a lot of white folks still look at you as just another nigga.
That's right, Mike. You know, that's such a great point, man. You know, I kind of set the table when I was coming along, and I'm still, of course, I'm still here. When it came to radio, sports, talk shows, and how I was covered in the media. I mean, I didn't allow anyone to write anything on me negative. You understand? Nothing negative. I got newspaper clippings all around in this room, and will show that when George Solomon of the Washington Post, almost 20 years after I'd been on the air, he decides that he wants to do something on black in sports media. So, of course, he calls me in and said, Harold, I think I want to do something on you since you are the pioneer. I said, okay. I had no problem with that. I mean, Jim Bethel at the Washington Star had already written a lionizing column on me in 1974 that was really one of the best ever written on me. So I said, okay, George, let's do it. 2 weeks later, he calls me into the office and said, Harold, we decided what we want to do. We want to bring in add other blacks in sports media into this story. And it hit me right away. They always want to put us all in one group. You understand? Put us all in one particular group. And you know what I told George Solomon? I don't want to be a part of it. If you want to do something on them, you go ahead and do something on them. I don't want to be a part of the story. And I walked away, because I resented the fact that he wanted to compare me with Martin White, who was a great sports weekend anchor here in Washington, D.C., James Brown, Glenn Harris. All these folks came behind me. So I walked away. So 2 weeks go by, and he called me back down to the Washington Post. This is the Washington Post, man. So he said, Harold, what we decided to do, what we're going to do, we're going to do a story on all of the blacks in sports media. And then we'll do a second story on the inside on you. Okay? I said, oh, is that right? I had never heard of anything like that before. He said, yeah, that's what we're going to do. So he had this guy named Norman Chad, who was like the sports media person, do the stories. And both the stories came out, front page on the sports section. There was Glenn Harris and myself, picture there. And then on the inside, there was myself and Red Auerbach. They did separate stories. And that's what you have to do. You have to demand. See, respect is not given, Mike. It has to be taken. And this is all, they had hitmen coming after me, man, when the Washington Post, 1978, this kidnapped Inside Sport just took my tag. And in the meantime, I'm having George Solomon on, Michael Wilbon, Dave Dupree, Byron Rosen, all of them on my show. So it was not like that the Washington Post didn't understand that Inside Sports on my tag. They just took it. They just took it. And that's what, when I heard this guy talking about white privilege, that's white privilege, man. They take what they want. And until, it was once said that until the lions hire their own public relations firm, all the glory will go to the hunter. And that's exactly what's happening today, Mike.
Well, but it's no shock, Coach.
No.
Guys like us that have been around the block a couple times, history is his story.
His story, right.
But I'm thankful that there is a guy that don't like ugly. And ain't the grill with pretty.
Yeah.
Because what's happening now with the media, they're in trouble all the way across the board, brother.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mike.
They're laying folk off. Readership is down. They're closing up shop. The Hispanic media is stronger today than it was before, and folk still don't trust the mainstream. I call it the mainstream mess. Okay. But you got to remember, it's like it's a business. It's not a calling. It's a business. If you don't understand how business works, then you're gonna come up short every time.
Right.
That's why, when I write, I choose who I write for. I choose who I write about. And my stuff is copyrighted, so I control my stuff. Now, are people gonna steal from me? Of course they are. That's part of the game. They'll steal from. But I can't control who steals from me and how they steal from me. I can't control that.
Right.
What I can control is the fact that, okay, you steal it, but I can still go out and make something even better the next time around.
Mike, you made a great point earlier about how we are seen in media. And right here in Washington, D.C., a lot of people, man, are jumping up in the air about all these black faces that are appearing on the evening news and in the morning news. But you know what? They're putting these young people in there, young black faces, don't even know their own history. So we know they don't know our history. They're paying them pennies on a dollar to be on television, and they think they're doing something. The information, they are diminishing the information in the black. This is Black History Month, man. But you and I, we celebrate Black history 365 days of the year. These folks don't have a clue, man, and they bring them on television, put them out front, and all of a sudden say, man, we got all these blacks on television. But what a lot of folks don't understand about media, that media today is the biggest institution on racism, second only behind a church on Sunday morning, man. We don't, at press time, at media time, they don't have any blacks. Very few blacks are making any decisions about what is going into our newspapers, what we're seeing on television. Very few. This last week, Mike, they came out with a big column on Super Bowl week on James Brown. James Brown has been hosting the Super Bowl for 9 straight years. Man, that's unheard of. They came out with a big column with his picture on the front page of the sports section, and this is what it read, Mike. He said, he is Black Santa Claus. I said, CBS Brown uplists others both onset and offset. Now I'm saying this is February. Why would they think of a title such as Black Santa Claus, Mike? It blew my mind. And why does a guy like James Brown, who is in mainstream media, has some clout, why didn't he ask like I did? I want to see what the final draft is. You understand? Calling me Black Santa Claus? That is disrespectful. And that's why I went off when I saw that, man. Even though I got my problems with James Brown, I understand that he's just a token, and he loves being a token, that he wants people to think that he's black, but he knows nothing about the struggle. Neither does David Aldridge, neither does Rock Newman. They don't know nothing about the struggle, man, of black folks. They grew up outside of where I grew up in the inner city, D.C. public schools. They went to private institutions. They grew up in another whole nother era. You know, they had David Aldridge on Facebook just a couple of days ago. He's there with a picture with Tyra J. Henson, you know, Henson, the girl that's on Empire, and it reads, me and Tyra, I'm from Northeast and she's from Southeast. What folks don't realize, Southeast Washington is worlds apart of the Northeast Washington that David Aldridge grew up in. But he was trying to identify himself with Tyra because she came up in the ghetto. So those are the kind of things that we got going on, Mike. That you know, I don't know what the solution is, man, except for keep telling the truth, man.
Well, that's the solution. Just keep on telling the truth, like those older than us used to say. Just keep on living.
Yeah.
They'll wake up. They'll wake up because one of my favorite comics, Paul Mooney said, everybody eventually gets a nigga wake up call.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I want to dovetail something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
To illustrate that. Do you know that the NBA is pitching a rule change to bring back the draft for 18-year-olds?
Yeah, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
You don't even now talk about disrespecting black folk. 70% of the NBA is black. 70% of the NFL is black. But yet and still they keep holding them dollar signs out. And now you're going to wind up, instead of having one LeBron James, you're going to have a whole flock of LeBron Jameses that are just ignorant and do nothing but hold money out and shake their money and don't have any real influence. Mm-hmm. And if I go even further back to what we were talking about with our own image, you brought it up. You can have a lot of black faces on TV, but the power is behind the camera.
Yeah.
How many black producers are there? How many black editors are there? How many black general managers are there?
Mm-hmm.
See, when they came up with affirmative action, Robert Reich, he was in the Clinton campaign.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He did an article years ago about the truth on affirmative action. And he said that affirmative action was designed so that white wives and white daughters would always be able to be employed.
Mm-hmm.
You are not going to create a system that is going to better things for races and not better things for the white woman and the white girl.
Mm-hmm. That's why they're a minority. That's why they became a part of the minority pack, man. They're a minority. They sleep with the white man every night, wake up with him, and they are a minority, Mike. That blows me away.
Well, like they say, how could you be a minority and still be more than all other people of color?
Mm-hmm.
See, you have to understand, and young folk need to understand, the only reason that some folk keep them around is just to suck the economic juices out of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason they keep them around. Now, I'm not saying that's the same thing in all cases. I'm not saying that all white people are evil. I'm not saying that all black people, my countrymen, are ignorant. What I am saying is that if you trust the media to give you accurate information on who you are, you're in a big pile of mess. For example, the line that goes through the media is that young black boys can't handle advanced thought or advanced mathematics. Back in the day when I was working on the education beat, there was, and this was back during the 80s, we had a chess group at a local elementary school that was all young brothers turned out to be tigers. They were so popular. When I covered the story originally, that story made the wires. Those young men wound up in the White House visiting President Reagan. They were that powerful. So that's what is meant by an effective black press.
Right. You know, Mike, it's a sportscaster in Dallas, Texas, by the name of Dale Hansen, and he talks about white privilege. I want you to listen to this. I know you heard it before, but I want some of those who will be listening or watching this program to understand exactly what white privilege is all about. Hold on while I set this up.
Been a lot of criticism of the Arizona Cardinals hiring Cliff Kingsbury as their new coach. Even my guys Mike and Jonah have been questioning that hire. But Kingsbury fits all the criteria to be a head coach in the NFL. He's an offensive genius, he's young, and he's white. And not necessarily in that order. There have been 6 new coaches hired so far, all white, and 2 coaches of color they are replacing. Stephen Wilkes, fired in Arizona after just 1 year. Vance Joseph in Denver after just 2. But Cowboys coach Jason Garrett is in his 9th year, apparently because he wins so much. A lot of people don't understand how Kingsbury can have a losing record at Texas Tech, no NFL experience, and get one of the 32 NFL jobs. But getting fired at Tech doesn't eliminate him from moving up, at least it doesn't to me. I've had 11 jobs in my life, been fired from 8 of them, and moved up every time. And I am arrogant enough to tell you, I think Channel 8 was right to give me another chance. But I am the product of white privilege in America, and I've never denied that I wasn't either. If they made a poster, my picture should be on it. Getting fired at one place and getting another chance isn't the problem. But young, talented coaches of color not getting the chance, that's a huge problem. The covert racism of the NFL ownership group was so bad, the NFL had to make a rule so that minority coaches could at least get an interview. Cowboys secondary coach Chris Richard has been interviewed, and there are reports saying he might get the Miami job. After what he's done with this Cowboys defense, how could he not? Unless it is true, what black parents have been telling their children for decades now. You have to be twice as good to go half as far. I dream of the day when those parents are wrong, because now they're not.
Okay, that's fantastic. You know, Mike, that's one of the reasons I came up with a catchphrase when I first went on radio, that every black face you see is not your brother, and every white face is not your enemy. And when I think back about the Red Auerbachs, the Burt Sugars, the Angelo Dundees, these guys that propped and held me up, man, and this guy right here is a jewel, man, because we don't have enough white men and white women saying that there is a thing as such as white privilege. You got it.
Think about it. Just because you say a thing is so, if you ain't fighting to do anything about it, what good is it?
Right.
I mean, okay, that's like saying I like mashed potatoes. But if I don't share any of my mashed potatoes with you, what does that mean? What does that make me? I'm just talking about the fact that I like mashed potatoes. That don't mean you're gonna get any. It's just I got mashed potatoes and you don't.
Right. Well, you know, one thing about Dale, I've been following him quite a bit, and he is consistent in his message when it comes to fair and equal opportunity in this game called life. You know, we look now. All we got to do is look at the big picture. I don't know what we're looking at when we talk about professional sports. You know how this is still a mainstream plantation, man. We're talking about celebrating Jackie Robinson on April 15th, the man that kicked down the doors in professional baseball, a man that died at age 52 because of all the stress that he had to go through and then have his people turn on him. They're going to be celebrating Jackie Robinson Day on April 15th. Everybody's going to be wearing number 42. Now, the real issue here is that baseball has less than 10% of black African Americans' participation. So if you're really going to be true to the sport, put number 42 on those who are black African Americans and see how that looks. But they'll put 42 on everybody and pretend they're celebrating Jackie Robinson when there's no reason to celebrate Jackie Robinson because the sport is in the dumps, man. When it comes to black owners, we don't have any black ownership. We have 2 black managers out of 30 teams. So who are you fooling? They putting it right in our face, Mike, and we standing up there looking like damn fools.
Well, but you got to remember though, there are future black managers out there. There's somebody that may be listening to you right now that is thinking about becoming a manager in baseball. It doesn't happen overnight. It never will happen overnight. But what we have to remember is like this one black doctor said years ago, we need to learn how to skip rope, whether or not anybody's ever asked us to skip. We need to keep struggling. We need to keep fighting on. And I remember. And you remember too. You remember Jesse Owens.
Yes, I remember Jesse.
And Jesse wasn't going over to Berlin to be a hero, but he went anyway. And people tend to forget that Jesse got 4 gold medals, and he was still treated like a dog when he got home.
Yeah.
And stress took him too.
Yeah. You know, Mike, that's no different than from the soldiers that fought in World War II. When they came back home after fighting, they were snatched off the buses by these white men and women and lynched by their necks. So it's no different when you talk about, well, nothing happens overnight. 1947, when Jackie broke into the league, and here we are at 2019. That's not overnight, Mike.
No, but it also shows us where we need to be working at.
Mm-hmm.
You know what got Trump elected?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly. Go ahead.
People got scared.
Yeah. Well.
You can't deal with scared white people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what did it.
Yeah. I think too what did it, you're absolutely right. I think what happened not only scared white people, but those of us who are people of color who decided not to go to the polls. And even some well-meaning whites didn't go to the polls. That's what put Donald Trump in there. You know, we didn't go to the polls, man. We fought, people died for us, man, to have this right to vote, and we don't go to the polls. So we got exactly what we asked for. And even though Donald Trump, it seems to be have a problem with racism, but we had these same problems before Donald Trump took office. Well, all he did was exacerbate what is going on. He brought all of these folks who were in the closet, he brought them out of the closet.
And one other thing, one of the things I really notice among black press today and don't notice, and I noticed it today and I didn't think I'd notice it, but I have, is that there's no camaraderie among the black press.
No, insecure. This is one of the most insecure professions you ever want to be associated with, man. And the reason that we're so insecure, there are very few opportunities that open up to us. And when they open up a door to us, 1,000 of us go through that same door. So we're looking over our shoulders, behind our back to see who's coming behind us, instead of establishing our own media outlets, man. Instead of faking it, talking about we own this and own that, we don't own a thing. Yeah, that's our problem, man. So
not only that, but we. This is a point that you hit on. We have forgotten to say, first of all, there are those who have benefited from the black press.
Oh man, please don't go there, Mike. Go ahead.
There are those in the black community who have benefited from the black press and have forgotten how to say thank you
Man, oh boy, you hitting it on all cylinders, man. I think about there's nobody in media that has had as many benefactors from Kids in Trouble and Inside Sports who are in media today. I'm talking about James Brown. I'm talking about Michael Wilbon. I'm talking about David Aldrin. I'm talking about Kathy Hughes. I'm talking about Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm talking about John Thompson that came through Harold Bell before they 15 minutes of fame. Doug Williams, before the Super Bowl, there was Harold Bell. Cornelius Green, before becoming the first black quarterback of Ohio State, he came through Harold Bell. You're right. We don't remember. And it seems like we get dementia early, man. You understand? Especially in the black community, man. You hit it on. You hit right on it, man.
Well, it's like we've got an outfit here called Black Expo, and a couple of years ago, I should say back when I was a reporter, all the blacks that were in media helped Black Expo, and Black Expo helped back. That's why Black Expo was such a success, because everybody in the community pulled together.
Mm-hmm.
Because we wanted to see Black Expo become successful. Well, times changed. They got successful, but they also forgot where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my general managers, the general manager of WTLC FM, back in the day when I got a chance to go work for the #1 station in town, and the black station was #2. Everybody in my station was mad that I got hired by a better station, and I got hired by a white station. But Al Hobbs, who was the general manager, called me in his office, and his whole management team was just negative.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled me into his office and sat me down. He said, "Mike, congratulations on where you're going." He said, "I got one word for you." He said, "Don't forget your people."
Mm.
And I have never, ever forgotten my people.
Yeah.
And there are two people today that need to hear that. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you cannot afford to forget that you're black.
Yeah.
Because you never know when you're going to need it.
Yeah. Mike, that's one of our problems, man. In my community and the people that came through me, I found out that we don't know how to handle success. We let success handle us, man. And that is a big problem, man. We don't know how to help each other incognito. You understand? Okay, Harold, I'm in this position now. Here's how I can help you. These guys become liars. They forget who they are and where they came from. And when they see me, they don't know how to respond or react to me. Because I look them right in the eye, man. I don't have anything to hide. I am proud of who I am, man. It's been rough, but you know what? I made my bed, and now that I gotta sleep in it, Mike. And before we go out of here, I want you to hear this last piece from my man, the great, the one and only Smokey Robinson, because this is what it's all about, man. We got to be proud of who we are. Hold on.
Def Poetry, please give it up for Smokey Robinson.
I love being black. I love being called black. I love being an American. I love being a black American. But as a black man in this country, I think it's a shame that every few years we get a change of name. Since those first ships arrived here from Africa that came across the sea, there were already black men in this country who were free. And as for those who came over on those terrible boats, they were called nigger and slave and told what to do and how to behave. And then Master started tripping, doing his midnight tipping, down to the slave shacks where he forced he and great-great-grandma to be together. And if great-great-grandpa protested, he got tarred and feathered. And at the same time, the black men in the country who were free were mating with the tribes like the Apache and the Cherokee. And as a result of all that, we're a parade of every shade. And in this late day and age, you can be sure there ain't too many of us in this country whose bloodline is pure. But according to a geographical genealogy study published in Time magazine, the black African people were the first on the scene. So for what it's worth, the black African people were the first on earth, and through migration our characteristics started to change and rearrange to adapt to whatever climate we migrated to. And that's how I became me and you became you. So if we're going to go back, let's go all the way back. And if Adam was black and Eve was black, then that kind of makes it a natural fact that everybody in America is an African American. Everybody in Europe is an African European. Everybody in the Orient is an African Asian, and so on and so on. That is, if the origin of man is what we're going to go on. And if one drop of black blood makes you black like they say, then everybody's black anyway. So quit trying to change my identity. I'm already who I was meant to be. I'm a black American, born and raised. And Brother James Brown wrote a wonderful phrase. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Because I'm proud to be black. And I ain't never lived in Africa. And because my great-great-granddaddy on my daddy's side did, don't mean I want to go back. Now, I have nothing against Africa. It's where some of the most beautiful places and people in the world are found. But I've been blessed to go a lot of places in this world. And if you ask me where I choose to live, I pick America, hands down. Now, by and by, we were called Negroes. And after a while, that name was banished. Anyway, Negro is just how you say black in Spanish. Then we were called colored. But shit, everybody's one color or another, and I think it's a shame that we hold that against each other. And it seems like we reverted back to a time when being called black was an insult. Even if it was another black man who said that the fight would result. Because we've been so brainwashed that black was wrong, till even the yellow niggas and the black niggas couldn't get along. But then came the 1960s, when we struggled and died to be called equal and black, and we walked with pride with our heads held high and our shoulders pushed back. And black was beautiful. But I guess that wasn't good enough. Because now here they come with some other stuff. Who comes up with this shit anyway? Was it one or a group of niggas just sitting around one day? Feeling a little insecure again about being called black and decided that African American sounded a little more exotic. Well, I think you were being a little more neurotic. It's that same mentality that got Amos and Andy put off there because they were embarrassed about the way the character spoke. And as a result of that action, a lot of wonderful black actors ended up broke. When we were just laughing and having fun about ourselves. So I say, fuck you if you can't take a joke. You didn't see the Beverly Hillbillies being protested by white folks. And if you think that, of course you think that being called African American sets all black people's minds at ease, since we affectionately call each other nigger, I affectionately say to you, nigger please. How come I didn't get a chance to vote on who I'd like to be? Who gave you the right to make that decision for me? I ain't under your rule or in your dominion, and I'm entitled to my own opinion. Now, there are some African Americans here, but they recently moved here from places like Kenya, Ethiopia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Zaire. But now the brothers whose families lived in this country for generations, occupying space in all the locations, New York, Miami, LA, Detroit, Chicago, even if he's wearing a dashiki and sporting an afro. And if you go to Africa in search of your race, you'll find out quick you're not an African American. You're just a black American in Africa taking up space. Why you keep trying to attach yourself to a continent where even if you got the chance to go and you went, most people there wouldn't even claim you as one of them, as a purebred daughter or son of them. Your heritage is right here now, no matter what you call yourself or what you say. And a lot of people died to make it that way. And if you think America's the leader on inequality and suffering and grieving, how come there's so many people coming and so few leaving? Rather than all this fine thought with America shit you promoting, if you want to change something, use your privilege. Get to the polls, come as a voting. God knows we've earned the right to be called American Americans and be free at last. And rather than you moving forward with progress, you're dwelling in the past. We struggled too long, we've come too far. To the folks that know who we were, let's be proud of who we are. We're the only people whose name is always a trend. When is this shit gonna end? Look at all the different colors of our skin. Black is not our color, it's our core. It's what we've been living and fighting and dying for. But if you choose to be called African American and that's your preference, then I'll give you that reference. But I know on this issue I don't stand alone on my own. And if I do, then let me be me. And I'd appreciate it if when you see me, you say, there goes a man who says it loud. I'm black. I'm black. I'm a black American and I'm proud. Because I love being an American. And I love being black. I love being called black. Yeah, I said it. And I don't take it back.
Okay, Mike. We're going over time, but I think it's worth it. Tell me about Smokey's interpretation of being black in America.
Hey, I like that. Like, look, it's like the Godfather of soul. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. But I remember what Tony Brown said. He said they have Asian Town, they have Chinatown. You know, how is it that the Mexican can go back to Mexico? How is it that the Asian can go back to China, but the Negro can't go back to Negro land?
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, Mike, growing up as a youngster, with a lot of people that came along during our time, the national anthem was James Brown, I'm black and I'm proud. That was a classic. But me growing up with my grandmother and my mother, they were my heroes, not black athletes. And my grandmother and mother taught us to be black and proud regardless, man. I didn't need James Brown to tell me or sing to me about being black and proud. I got that from my grandmother and my mother in church on Sundays. Of course, I was in church on Sundays, all day Sunday, sometimes during the week, because my great-grandfather laid the first brick to build Mount Airy Baptist Church at North Capitol and L Streets, Northwest here in Washington, D.C. So I spent a lot of time in church, man. And that foundation was laid, man, for us to be black and proud, man, regardless of what we heard or what we seen. And I don't know about you, but growing up in the Northeast Housing Project that I came out of in Northeast Washington, I didn't realize really that was racism because I never had any action with white folks except for on the weekends when I went to carry groceries at the Safeway. And then I moved from there to Burning Tree Golf Course where I met Richard Nixon and Petey Green. And that's when I found, that there was another world. So I've always been proud of who I am, man. So I think what that piece on Smokey, man, just makes me smile.
Yeah, but you always have to remember, Coach, that there are folks who needed James Brown to say what he
Yeah,
what he
right.
Because, like I said, I was raised on concrete and asphalt back in Cleveland, Ohio. And, hey, no shame in my game because the stuff that I went through growing up with my family, two-parent household, I had a parent that taught us how to work. Both parents taught me how to work. Both parents taught me how to do what I was supposed to do to be the best I could be. And part of the time I was raised in the suburbs among white people. It's like Tony Brown said that white people are no different from us. There are a few geniuses, most of them are averages, and a lot of sprinkling of fools.
I like that.
And like they say, part of what we're going through, and I know we're getting short on time, but part of what we're going through, this might wind up being a two-part show, but part of what we're going is we've turned our back on God.
Yeah.
You can't turn your back on God and get to be blessed. And the faster we get back to our churches and worshiping God, getting back under His protection, the better we're going to be.
Yeah. Well, Mike, like I said, this has been double time today, but it's been worth it. When I I hate to look back because I'm always a guy that's gonna look forward, no matter how the obstacles placed in front of me. Against all odds, I'm here today because of a lot of great white men and women and black folks, man, that lifted me up when I was down. I've been homeless 3 times, man, trying to fight this system, trying not to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. And I've had several people say, Harold, if you had played the game, boy, you would be dangerous. And one of those guys who wrote the first lionizing column on me, J.D. Bethea, said that same thing. Here's a guy that grew up in the ghetto and never learned how to play the game. I did learn how to play the game. I just refused to play the game. That was it. I refused to play the game because I found out playing the game what was not going to allow me to have peace of mind. And peace of mind is not for sale, man. So here I am, 80 years old, and God has been I've been blessed, man. All the glory goes to God. I can sit up here and talk about the James Browns and the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Dave Bings, the John Thompson, all of them that came through me. That was God that was doing that. That wasn't Harold Bell. I understand that now. He has blessed me. And my wife put this little note on the clock several days ago that I want to read to you, Mike. It's called "The Clock of Life is Wind but Once, and no man has the power to tell just when the hands will stop, at late or in early hour. To lose one's wealth is sad indeed. To lose one's health is more. To lose one's soul is such a loss that no one can restore." And that makes a lot of sense to me, Mike. I don't know about you, but yes, that's it, man. The hands of the clock are turning on us. We don't know if we're gonna be here the next minute, the next hour, or the next day. And we need to make the best of it. And that's what we need to do, man. We need to keep reaching out. And we know racism is always going to be there. It's always going to be there. Racism isn't going anywhere. As long as there's a black and a white, there are going to be some people that don't like you. But the key is you got to like yourself. That's what I found. You got to like yourself. I like myself as an athlete. I like myself as a community advocate, youth advocate. I like myself as a sports media personality. But you know what? That was because of the values instilled in me by my mother and my grandmother, and they really told me nobody owes you anything but yourself. Mike, you got the last word.
And we also have to realize there's a brighter day coming, and that brighter day is not going to be here. But if you made reservations, we're going to be in a place where there's not going to be any tears, there's not going to be any crying, and it's going to be everybody going to be saying howdy, howdy, and how you doing. And
Well,
that's what you got to do. You got to make reservations for the next phase.
well, Mike, people are always talking about these Hall of Fames that they have excluded me from. And I tell them, man, there's not but one Hall of Fame that I'm interested in going in, and that's God's Hall of Fame. And I don't think I'm gonna be eligible for that one. But that's the only Hall of Fame that counts to me. God's Hall of Fame, man. And I don't know if I'm ever going to make it, but I'm gonna try to live my life, continue like I've always had, being straight up and keeping it real, man, because I couldn't have made it any other way. Mike, I want to thank you for taking time out to be here on the Legends of Inside Sports, and looking forward to our next show, Mike.
All right.
Okay, that's going to be it for the Legends of Inside Sports. I'm Harold Bell, and you can color me gone.
Some people told me, you know, distant love.